Hey everybody, it's Daniel here for Mobile Syrup, and today I have the LG Optimus I, LG Optimus LTE, LG Optimus LTE, whatever you want to call it. This is one of the fastest devices currently on the market in terms of CPU speed and connectivity speed. It's got everything and it's exclusive to Bell, so let's take a look at it. First, you'll notice this gorgeous 720p display. This is a 1280 by 720p IPS display. LG calls it a true HD display, and that's because it actually has some of the best viewing angles of any LCD currently on the market. Clarity and pitch are almost perfect. The only thing that I'm concerned with is a bit of dithering on some of the colors. So it looks like it's a 6-bit and not an 8-bit display, but that is alright because you won't notice it unless you're really searching. In terms of its color reproduction, everything is fantastic. Behind the scenes, you have a 1.5 gigahertz dual-core Snapdragon processor, a gig of RAM, an 8 megapixel camera on the back, and a 1.3 megapixel camera on the front. So let's turn off the screen and take a look around the device. On the bottom, you see 3 capacitive touch buttons. LG's actually made the very wise decision of combining the search and the menu button into one. You hold down the menu button for a second and it brings up the search bar in any app that supports it. We have the home button in the center and back on the right. Very nicely spaced. You're not going to make any mistakes there. A little bit of a fingerprint magnet, as you can see, but this is a nice, I believe it's Gorilla Glass display, so nothing's going to get in the way of this glass screen. Bottom of the device you have the latch for the battery cover. On the left hand side you have a volume rocker easily delineated. You can see there. On the top of the device we have a 3.5mm headphone jack, a microphone, this little latch for the micro USB port, and a power button. On the right hand side is nothing, just good old plastic, and that's it. So on the back of the device you can see you have an 8 megapixel camera with a flash. There's a little piece of metal here, but the rest of the device is plastic. You also see this textured backing here, nicely designed, very easy to grip and comfortable. You have a mono speaker here on the bottom right that actually emits some pretty good sound. We've had a lot of success with the camera too, so this seems to be an all-round good package from LG. Top here we have a very understated speaker grill, and as I said, the 1.3 megapixel front-facing camera. Taking the battery cover off, you can see that it's a piece of plastic, but it's pretty rigid. It's not going to be bending and breaking anytime soon. Underneath we have an 1830 milliamp hour battery, and that should suffice for all your LTE needs. We have a 1 gigabyte micro SD card. Now that came with our demo unit, so I'm not sure whether it comes standard in the device. You also have a Bell LTE SIM card there, and you can see that the camera module is a little bit thicker than the rest of the device, and that makes for pretty good autofocus sensor and optics. So we're going to snap that back on, and you can see it's actually pretty thin. So this isn't going to win any design contests, but at the same time it's certainly a little bit more attractive than the devices LG released earlier this year with the Optimus 2X and G2X in the States. Turning on, you can see that the home screen actually supports something like Sense in HTC Sense. If you have a message, you can actually bring the icon down to the bottom and go right into your message. And the same thing happens for texting and for anything else that you've missed, emails, etc. So the home screen pretty cluttered, but we have this big beautiful weather widget here. You can actually click on it to get into a separate app. Again, very much like HTC's nicely designed 3D app, but it runs very smoothly. You can see this little animation here. You got your next day forecast, and current forecast is powered by the Weather Network. Going back out there, you see Bell has included a few apps of its own: GPS Navigator, TV and radio, and self-service. Those are standard on all Bell smartphones. Moving along, we have Kobo, ZoomPass, Simpatico.ca, and Remote PVR, as well as the MP3 store. If you want to add things to the menu, to the home screen rather, you can just hold down and it'll bring up this little bottom bar. It's actually nice that you can add widgets straight from this bottom bar instead of going into a separate screen. It works a lot better. So if I want to add a Twitter widget, for example, I'm just going to hold it and bring it anywhere on the screen. You have a grid that you can move it around in. So if I hold it down, I can then move it to wherever I want to go. You have a 4-button dock on the bottom. These are not replaceable. Oh, actually, I'm sorry, they are replaceable. So you can move that up there. The only thing you can't move is this applications bar, but everything else you can move. Going right into the applications menu, you can see that you can divide it into list format like this, based on alphabetical order. You can also click the menu button and change the layout. So the default one is category, and these are all applications that have been pre-installed on the device, and then anything else you download will be here under downloads. If you want to move an icon around, you just go to manage apps, and the apps will kind of start jiggling a little bit, and you can move it around. You can move one of the icons into the downloads folder if you really want to. You cannot delete anything from the applications folder, so anything pre-installed either from LG or Bell, you cannot uninstall that. But if I want to uninstall any of my downloaded apps, I can just press the X next to it and it will make its move. Once you're done, you can press the back button and there you go. There are some interesting features preloaded on here. In addition to the Bell preloads, we have some LG stuff as well. LG actually includes a self-service app that you can ask an LG customer service representative to connect to your phone and help you out with any technical problems you may have. That's the LG remote call there. We have some DLNA service applications in Smart Share, and we also have something called Smart World. And I believe this is an app store dedicated to LG users. But we'll go back out of there and sign back in a minute. So some other interesting preloads. We have a full version of Polaris Office, demos of Nova 2 HD and Let's Golf 2, and Asphalt 6, and that's pretty much it. If we go into the context menu, we can see that there's really not a whole lot to it. You have your phone, your call log, your contacts. Everything is pretty much standard operating procedure for Android 2.3. What LG's done fairly well is make everything look pretty uniform, consistent throughout. And you can see when you scroll down in your notification bar, you have the 5 quick setting buttons here: Wi-Fi, silent mode, Bluetooth, GPS, and airplane mode. If we go into the settings menu, you can see that LG's also taken a cue from Samsung in the gesture menu. So you can, as with the Galaxy S2, use the gyroscope and accelerometer of the device to relocate items based on how you're tilting it. You can also mute a call if you flip the device over, and you can snooze your alarm by doing the same thing. You can also tilt to get to previous and next items in your gallery, and you can flip the device in order to pause a movie that you're watching. So some really intuitive stuff being released here from Android OEMs, even if they are kind of taking them from one another. The language, the keyboard rather, is taken pretty much straight from the Android 2.3 SDK, so no complaints there. It's a very capable keyboard, except we would love to see it updated for Ice Cream Sandwich ASAP. If you go to connectivity settings, you can see something. Let's just install this. If we go to connectivity settings, you can see something called on-screen phone, and this is a hub that you can install on your PC that will allow you to communicate wirelessly through your Wi-Fi network with your device. You can see who's calling you, who's texting you. You can also transfer movies, music, and photos. let's go to display. Last thing I'll show you is you can actually change the font on the device. So something called Jungle Gothics comes standard, and you can download other fonts to add to this if you have a rooted device. Otherwise, you are stuck with what you have. But the fonts look really good on the 720p screen. One thing I've noticed is that everything just looks so much sharper when you're reading text. You can also change the resolution, and you can optimize certain apps for the screen. So if your apps are not natively optimized for the high resolution screen, because not a lot of devices are on the market with 720p screens, you can actually change the resolution of the application to fit it, and that's kind of a tweak, a hack, if you will, made by LG itself. Not guaranteed to work on all applications, but it's a nice inclusion nonetheless. So I want to get into the browser quickly just to show you where did I put that. I'm going to bring this back here. I'm going to get into the browser because I want to show you the quality of the screen. So I've loaded up my favorite photography website. This is 500 pixels, and I also have, lucky me, let's try reloading that. I also have the Galaxy Nexus in front of me, and this is also running 500 pixels, and I just wanted to show a little bit of a comparison between a couple of the most popular photos. So if I go to popular photos, and let's load up something with a little bit of color. It seems that they're having some issues with their website. But I'm going to load up the same photo on both devices. And hopefully you can get how clear this is. So the Super AMOLED display on the Galaxy Nexus is a little bit more vivid. Colors are more highly saturated, but you can see there's very little appreciable difference between both, and it goes to show how excellent both displays are, but indeed how well implemented the LG screen is, especially since it's the first 720p IPS display being released on the market. You can also see that brightness is actually a little bit better on the LG device. I hope that comes through on camera, but both of these are at highest brightness setting, and you can see especially in the white levels. Let me X out of that. But if you see in the white levels here, you can see just how much brighter the LG is than the Galaxy Nexus. And that's just a small drawback of the Super AMOLED displays, that maximum brightness levels are just a little bit less. So if you're worried about what kind of screen you're getting on this device, you can put your doubts to rest. This is one of the best screens currently available on the market. In terms of performance, all of these devices actually do fairly well. This is running the same processor that's in the Galaxy S2 LTE, that's in the HTC Raider and HTC Amaze. It's running at 1.5 gigahertz. You can see the megaflops up here, 79.8. Excellent scores. We actually found that this ran a little bit faster in the SunSpider benchmark test than its equivalent devices, the Raider and Amaze, and I think that's owed to the lightness of the skin. This is pretty stock. If you get past the kind of aesthetic retouches, this is pretty much stock Android 2.3.5. So you're going to notice that performance is fairly quick. It's going to be comparable to the Galaxy S2, the Exynos version, the Bell version. So I think the 1.5 gigahertz processor goes a long way here, and I'm going to give you I'm going to go over the benchmarks in the full review. So in terms of LTE performance, unfortunately I don't get LTE where I live. I live just north of the city of Toronto, and I will do a full LTE overview in the review. So this has been the Optimus LTE from LG and exclusively on Bell, and thank you so much for watching.